All right, everyone, welcome back to our investigation. So, we're going to have to put our typical investigation on hold for just a little bit longer in order to address Henrico County censoring me on Facebook. How dare they, right? This is a clear violation of the First Amendment. So, I have now addressed this issue with Henrico County numerous times. Let's see. I've addressed this issue to the public relations gal who manages the Facebook page. I've addressed this issue to Misty Roundtree, to Jody Rogish, and at least two other individuals who works in the social media department. And yet I still cannot get through to these folks. So I thought I would get a little bit more colorful today. Hence the outfit, right? Sometimes we just need to take it up a level in order to get noticed, in order to be heard, right? So I'm kind of running out of ideas. Let me explain. So I had a sense for quite a bit that the county of Henrico was hiding my comments, but I was just so exhausted with everything that I thought I'll come back to this. Well, let me tell you what the straw that broke the camel's back was. I posted a comment on Veterans Day, and I've shared that with you guys, so go back and check out the other video if you want to see the comment. And Henrico County hid that comment from the public, right? It was difficult for them to see it. The analogy that I will give is almost like sheer curtains. Sure, it was there, but you have to look really close, get very close up in order to see outside of the window, right? So I was very, it struck a nerve with me when they censored me on Veterans Day. And I started to think about, what was it in particular, for obvious reasons, Veterans Day, you're censoring on Veterans Day. The only other day that could have been worse for Henrico to censor would have been the 4th of July. But some of you may recall that what inspired me to speak out to begin with was Jeff Gray, who does civil rights investigations. He is a veteran, and he will stand outside of city halls, along with a variety of other places, and simply say, "God bless the homeless vets." He was censored. He's been arrested multiple times, trespassed, and when I saw this, I couldn't believe it, right? A veteran getting censored for saying, "God bless the homeless vets." What the heck is going on here? I thought, I've got to do something in order to help preserve the Constitution. So I started speaking up, right? Well, so that's what really bugged me when Henrico County censored me on Veterans Day, right? It really resonated with me. So I decided to reach out again today, this morning, and speak to a very nice lady within the county in the public relations department. And she heard me out. I appreciated that she really listened and, heard me out on the issue. She was not the appropriate person to handle the matter, but she was, she just happens to be the person to take down the information, to share it with the right individual to pass it off. Okay, so great. I was hoping to hear back. I did not hear anything back. But I did go and check the Henrico County government Facebook page in order to see if perhaps, something has changed. And I did see that. So many of my comments that were hidden were no longer hidden. One of the comments that was hidden was the Veterans Day comment. It wasn't hidden anymore. So I was pleased, and I would like to go over to the Facebook page in order to show you what they did. But as time went on throughout the day, my comment was hidden again. So what the heck is going on here? This is a clear civil rights violation. But let me walk you through kind of the minds of Henrico County, what they said in order to justify their actions regarding censorship. So, with that being said, let's jump straight into it, shall we? Okay, so here we are, Wednesday, November 19th, 5:02 p.m. We are on Henrico County Government Facebook. Okay, so let's just go to the comment that I was sharing with you all earlier. So the comment that was hidden before was this comment where I said, I encourage whomever is moderating Henrico's Facebook page to stop shadow banning my comments. You are violating my First Amendment rights and are making the county vulnerable to a 42 USC 1983 civil rights lawsuit. So this comment was hidden, but the comment where I praised Henrico was not hidden. Okay, so that's a big problem. I dug a little bit deeper to learn, what is going on here with these comments. So one thing that I thought was disturbing is, see right here, I could hit hide and hide this comment. You shouldn't be able to do that. They need to have a setting where people can't hide each other's comments. I'm not exactly sure how this option works, but it was concerning to me. I do want to show you what I found that may apply. So I found this comment guard, and it goes over how hiding comments works, how comment hiding works on Facebook. Okay, let's read the first part. When you hide a comment, it remains visible to the person who wrote the comment, that person's Facebook friends and page admins and moderators, while the comment becomes invisible to all other users browsing your post and anyone who isn't friends with the commenter. And so that's what was going on, is Henrico County hid my comment, and they, I suppose, were not expecting that a lot of my friends, I'm not actually Facebook friends with them, which I don't think that they were expecting that. A lot of people are still under the assumption that I don't have Facebook because for so many years I didn't. So I've never tried to be Facebook friends with friends or family members. I have been using this particular Facebook for a particular reason. So I just don't think that they were expecting that I wouldn't have any friends who I'm also Facebook friends with. Okay. But so they were making it visible, the comment visible to myself and visible to all of my Facebook friends, right? Well, except for when I told my friends, hey, did you see my comment on Facebook? They said, no, we don't see your comment. When I asked family members, do you see my comment? They said, no, we don't see your comment. If they were Facebook friends with me, then they would have been able to see my comment. Okay, so that's what's going on here. So again, it says, meanwhile, the comment becomes invisible to all other users browsing your post and anyone who isn't friends with me. So my friends who are not Facebook friends could not see my post. My family members who are not Facebook friends could not see my post, okay, my comment. So they go on to say that this approach differs from deleting comments, which removes them entirely and permanently, or blocking users, which prevents them from interacting with your page. And they go on to say that hiding creates a middle ground that preserves the commenter's experience while protecting your public image. And that's exactly what Henrico's trying to do. They thought that all this time when they were hiding my comment rather, that they were protecting their image. But I was on to them pretty early on, which was probably close to a year ago. I just didn't have the energy to get around to, doing this, because it takes effort in order to, make all these phone calls, expose them, the whole thing. So yeah, they're hiding my comment, and they're trying to create a middle ground that preserve the commenter's experience while protecting your public image, because it's all about Henrico's public image. Importantly, hiding comments is a reversible action, unlike deleting, which cannot be undone. And so that's what they did. They hid my comment, and then today, after I spoke with a nice woman in Henrico, they reversed some of my comments, but then they hid another comment. So I don't know what's going on. And so I love how it says, can commenters indirectly discover their comment was hidden? Yes, I learned this pretty early on, okay? Again, I think the reason why they kept doing it is because they probably assumed that because I wasn't confronting them for so long, they just thought that they were getting away with it, right? I truly believe that's what's going on. So it says, while Facebook doesn't send notifications about hidden comments, there are a few ways someone might potentially discover their comment is hidden. Logging out and viewing the post as a non-friend, using a different account to check if their comment appears, noticing that their comment receives no engagement from other users, or realizing that their friends can see the comment, but others mention not seeing it. And so I have access to another individual's Facebook. I have their, I can get into their account and everything with express permission, but we're not Facebook friends, right? So they're a non-friend, even though they're my friend in real life. They're a non-friend. So I was logging into a non-friend account so I could see what the public was seeing, right? And I did this, like I said, close to a year ago, okay? And then also, I noticed in the beginning when I was commenting, there was always somebody from the peanut gallery who was always chiming in. And then the peanut gallery was quiet. So it was pretty obvious from the beginning. It's just, I'm confronting Henrico County about so many things. There's just not enough hours in the day to deal with their censorship and various, unethical actions, in my opinion. So they go on to say, however, most casual Facebook users won't go through these steps to verify if their comments are visible to everyone, making comment hiding an effective and discreet moderation tool, right? And that's what they're doing. They think that this is an effective and discreet moderation tool. Well, I got news for them. I'm pretty green when it comes to Facebook. I only just started actively using Facebook in order to comment on Henrico's website. So I hadn't even become a casual Facebook user, but I figured it out pretty immediately, okay? So it's not difficult. If I'm figuring it out, other people are figuring it out. Okay, let's go over to the Facebook post. It's just unbelievable. All right, again, this is what they were hiding. Now they're not hiding this. Again, I could go into my the other account where we're not Facebook friends, and I guess that's why we were able to see it. They're just not anticipating that. I know so many people who are Facebook users even though we're not Facebook friends. So I don't think that they realized how different I am. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit further. And this was the response back from Henrico this afternoon. They said, any filtering that may be occurring, such as marking comments as most relevant, is due to Facebook and its algorithm. I have a hard time believing this, and we can go into it a little bit further. Henrico welcomes comments as a general rule, and page administrators limit comments only in rare instances when they violate the county's social media policy. Okay, now I looked at the social media policy probably about a year ago, and I noticed that it was unconstitutional. I made a phone call. I may have even sent an email, but I haven't dug up my email if I did send one regarding this. I'm pretty sure I did. It's unconstitutional, okay? And we're going to jump into that. But one thing that I find offensive is they say any filtering that may be occurring, such as marking comments as most relevant, is due to Facebook's algorithm. I wouldn't really be complaining about most relevant. What's happening, though, is they are comments. Let's see. That's not what I'm going to have to go to another section. What they're doing is when it's under most relevant, comments are being hidden, like I showed you before. Let's see. I wonder if I'll have to go back to, you guys are going to have to go check to see what the other phrase is. Actually, I may have put it on here. Let's see. Oh, yes, here we go. When they have that option on, it says most relevant is selected, so some comments may have been filtered out. If it was just most relevant, I wouldn't necessarily be complaining, although who gets to be the arbiter of most relevant? But my issue was that my comments were being filtered out. That's the issue. So they're being, again, they put it here, any most relevant. They're being disingenuous when they're saying this, okay? It's a slimy move. Okay, so let's click on their social media policy in order to address that. So here we are. Let's break it down. The purpose of Henrico County social media pages, sites, and accounts, including those on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, is to represent matters of public interest to Henrico residents, businesses, and visitors of all ages and backgrounds in a moderated online discussion board format. We encourage you to submit your questions, comments, and concerns about these matters by email, telephone, or by submitting comments to particular post, right? However, and this is important, please note that these sites are not a public forum. I'm sorry, Henrico County, but you don't have the luxury of just saying it's not a public forum. Legally speaking, this is a public forum. You can write down it's not a public forum, but that is not truthful. That is in violation of the Constitution. Facebook, a government-run Facebook post, has been determined by the courts time and time again that it is a public forum. This isn't like Susie down the street who has her private Facebook and you can moderate. Or for example, me, I can moderate and censor on my Facebook page because I am private. You are the government. The government is running a government-run Facebook page. This is, in fact, a public forum, legally speaking. Okay, so I've addressed this with the social media folks, and I could just tell it was falling on deaf ears, clearly because they're censoring me. They go on to say, but moderated discussion boards reviewed periodically during normal business hours. And so they go on to say, to further the purpose of these sites, the county will remove comments to posts that are, one, clearly off topic from the particular post. We're going to come back to that. 2, spam. 3, advocacy for illegal activity. Obviously, you can censor if something is illegal. Okay. But let's address this clearly off topic. Let's pretend for a moment that they're using this as like a limited public forum. This is a public forum. Okay, but let's pretend for a moment that they're going to censor anything that is clearly off topic. Well, here's what's so hilarious. You cannot make this stuff up. Let's look at this let's go out in order to make my point. Okay. Here we have the topic is 4-H, right? Henrico 4-H holiday party, right? This is the topic, is 4-H. So they're trying to say they're going to censor anything that is clearly off topic. But what's so funny is when Henrico actually posts this comment regarding their social media policy, that is clearly off topic. According to their own rules, the only way they could post something about their social media policy is if their original post spoke about social media policy, right? They would have had to put here, hey, social media policy, da 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 da. Then they would have been allowed to talk about it. But because they spoke about 4-H holiday party, they can't talk about this, okay? That's what's so ridiculous. They are violating their own policy. This is clearly ridiculous. And they are not enforcing this policy in a manner that is not a viewpoint discrimination, right? Let me go out of this for a moment. Okay, so if they want to pretend like this is a limited public forum and they're going to censor all topics that are all comments that are off topic, you have to do that across the board. Let me give you an example. Okay, they'll put a post out that talks about, I don't know, adopt a puppy, right? And so people are commenting, oh, love the adopt a puppy, so forth and so on. And then a citizen will chime in and say, we should do an adopt a kitten day. And then somebody then later says, oh, I found a kitten, down my street. Would anyone like to adopt a kitten? Right? And so forth and so on. People constantly go off topic. So you can't say, well, we're allowed to go off topic and talk about kittens and bunny rabbits, and we're allowed to go off topic when we're talking about how fabulous the parks are, or, the fabulous Christmas party, but we're not allowed to go off topic when I want to be critical of Henrico County, okay? That is viewpoint discrimination. And I'll have to go back and read a little bit more specific with the various lawsuits, but from my memory of looking into it, I don't even think that you can you can, pigeonhole people into what they discuss on this platform. Pretty sure that the courts have ruled this is the equivalent of having the public comment period at the Board of Supervisors meeting, right? We're not talking about a specific agenda item where you're only restricted to that specific agenda item. You are this is like the public comment period where you can discuss whatever you want. And that's the point, is people should be able to discuss the issues, right? And so sometimes it starts off where you're discussing the main topic, but then it kind of branches off into something different. They're not censoring that. No. So what they're doing is a clear violation. The fact that they continuously have on their social media policy that this is not a public forum is flat out wrong, okay? That is completely unconstitutional. It will not hold up in the courts. I feel very confident about this. But, just to protect myself, we will say, in my opinion, right? Allegedly, right? Go read the court cases and decide for yourself, okay? They are making the county vulnerable to a 42 USC 1983 civil rights lawsuit, okay? I feel very confident about that one. So anyway, that's that. I hope I covered this in a way that everyone can understand, and I really hope Henrico County cuts it out. They need to cut it out, right? Why are you taking our tax money in order to only run this Facebook page to make yourselves look fabulous, right? It is inappropriate use of funds to censor topics that are important to the citizens, okay? If there was a major, I remember one post was something to the effect of, that Henrico County posted, I don't know, something fabulous, right? They were patting themselves on the back about something. And another citizen chimed in and said, spoke about some major road issue on his road, right? That had nothing to do with the topic, nothing. And the response from Henrico County was, where we'll have somebody out there immediately, right? They did not censor it. Imagine if one person, the topic is, I don't know, about Christmas trees, and then somebody posts, something very serious going on and said, hey, the lights are out at intersection such and such and such and such. They don't censor it, okay? So what they're doing is clearly unconstitutional. It's clearly constitutes as viewpoint discrimination. So that's all I have to say about that. I hope I do not have to continue discussing this issue of censorship. At a later point, though, I will have to get you caught up on the letter that got sent to the city of Richmond regarding censorship when they censored me at City Hall. So, guys, I don't know if everyone gets censored like this, but I sure as heck do, right? That it's desperate. It's desperate when they censor. It shows how wrong they are, okay? So anyway, that's going to be that. And I'd like to get back to our regular investigation next time, but we shall see how this goes. So make sure that you give a thumbs up. Make sure that you smash the subscribe button. You share this post. Leave a comment below, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.